Pork Schnitzel with Jaeger sauce. Obviously, it is not an Italian recipe, but it's fantastic. I learned this recipe while traveling to Germany. It's so incredible, it should be Italian. Let me show you how to make it. Jaeger Schnitzel. I know, it's not Italian, it's German. How can it be that an Italian loves German food? Well, it conquered me. I was on vacation with my wife, we went to Germany, I learned this dish, and I loved it so much that when I came back, I made it every day for a month until I nailed it. Perfect! My wife says to me, whoa, you should be a chef. So, let me share with you, step by step, how to make this. All right, first thing we want to do is to take these pieces of meat that we have right in here and turn them into pork scallopini. I've taken this piece of meat and the other one from a pork roast. And that's more often what you will find at the store, but these are too big to be scallopini. Scallopini is basically a trickery the families use to make a piece of meat go a long way. So you will notice how big these pieces will become once we treat them. So let's move these guys aside. And let me put in here something that will show you how we're going to do this. This is a plastic bag. I love these plastic bags because they give us a perfect direction on how to pound the scallopini. You will see this in just a second now. The reason why we pound it and why this is important is with this trap between the two layers of plastic, we have the ability of shaping it as we wish. Here's the piece that we have pounded, and here's what we started with. So as you can see, it stretches out. And now, I'm gonna do the rest of them. You see how I blow the strength? I go middle, pull outward. Middle, pull outward. This way you have an even spreading. We finished pounding the scallopini. Now I want to show you how to flavor them and how to coat them with flour. So first thing that I like to do is to sprinkle them with flavor. You might ask yourself, what's in here? You can do this with regular salt and pepper. It works fantastic. But me, I got an invention in here, something that I absolutely adore. I called it the NYX Magic Rub. What is it? Onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, paprika, cayenne, and of course, we put a little bit of brown sugar. Once we get to this point, we flour it. Now watch this. Flouring is just a touch that you want to do. So the biggest mistake that people make is after they flour it, they simply, like this, they put it into the pan. You see how much flour is left still? This flour will go to the bottom and will burn. So after you give it the coating, gently get rid of the excess flour. And it's like patting the back of a baby for those of you who are parents or uncles like me. The scallopini are ready. Now, let's cook them. And let me show you how. Right, let's do this. Let's cook the scallopini. You want to make sure that the oil is super hot so it sears the outside of the scallopini, keeping all the juices on the inside. Now, one of the things that I want you to pay attention to is how do I know when the scallopini are ready? Also, we have another factor that you need to keep in mind. The flavoring that we placed on the outside of the scallopini, in a certain way, what we want to do is to almost sear it. So as you take the bite of the meat, you can taste all this layer of flavors. I would say about 2.5 minutes per is the most that you want to go with. But something like this is more like 1.5 minutes. The scallopini is fairly thin. And remember, we are not cooking these scallopini only in this pan. We just want to get them nice and brown, and then we'll finish them in the sauce. Perfect. Let's take the scallopini out now. In the same pan where we cook the scallopini, we go first with some chopped onions. Together with that, with a little bit of chopped bacon for flavor. Also, what I like to do is add a few pieces of garlic. That part is all Italian, not German. Now, you have to remember that when you cook the sauce, you definitely want to turn down the heat. You don't want to cook the sauce on the high heat in which you cook the scallopini. The reason why you want to lower the heat almost to medium low is very important. The onions are going to start to pick up all the flavors that were left behind by the scallopini, the juices of the meat that you didn't see. Let me show you what I mean. Watch the pan. We add the wine now. And as we always done in all the recipes that you see me do in the past for sauces, this is exactly what we want to do right now. We're stirring about. You see as I stir, the wine comes back up to the surface. It becomes brownish in color. Those are all the brown bits that were stirred at the bottom. I'm gonna cook this all the way until the wine almost reduces down to a glaze. Now, as the wine is reducing, there is a very key and important addition. And this one, I have to explain it to you. It took me forever to figure out, in the Jägermeister sauce, which is basically the seed of what we're doing right here, the secret ingredient is the mustard. If you go for mustard, I would prefer the old-fashioned mustard, what's referred to as grain mustard. It has a much better flavor, so let me show you. The aromas that are coming out of this are splendid. I wish I could send them to you via the camera. Now we proceed with the other additions. Increase the heat a little bit more. Beef stock. A little bit of tomato sauce. A little bit of parsley. And then stir attentively. The next step is crucial. And I want to describe it to you before we go into action and do something about it. There are two ways of approaching this dish. One is that you can saute the mushroom at the beginning of the sauce, and that's how many of the other chefs like to do it. I, on the other hand, want to use smaller pieces of mushroom. I'm using beech mushroom and shiitake mushroom that are cut in small pieces, and add them at the end as the sauce is reducing. Why do I do that? In the process, the sauce is going to penetrate the mushrooms even more, I find, with this technique. Let me show you. And here we go with the shiitakes. All right, the sauce is ready to accept the scallopino. We cannot call them scallopini, what are they called? Schnitzel, this is a German recipe. Let me show you. The first time I prepared this for a bunch of my friends, I said, hey, Nick, what inspired you to do this? And this was my answer. I could not fail. Well, you see, you have to see this from my point of view. When I came back from the trip to Germany, every day for almost a month, I kept making this day after day after day until I finally got the perfect combination. So this is a testament, I would say, to the human spirit. And if you're Sicilian, you know exactly what I mean. We cannot let it go. Now, the scallopini are ready. And the sauce is ready. And in just a moment, I'm gonna show you exactly how to plate it. I look at this and I say to myself, you know what? If I can cook something that is not part of my tradition and learn how to bring out the spirit of it, then anything can be done. Dollop of sour cream, a little bit of parsley just for color. I believe that this dish is a mirror of the human spirit, a spirit that believes in the possibility of everything. And this is how you make pork schnitzel with Jaeger sauce. That's if you speak German. In Italian, we simply call it scallopini al sugo.